Hello, 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 everyone. Hello. I can see some people on the chat. Hello, hello, hello. Okay, so today we are going to look at data. Okay, let's see if we can wait for more people to join. Just a few seconds and we can just get started. Okay, so my name is Vincent, and I am an MH streamer and also an AWS community builder. And today we'll be looking at how we can turn boring CSV files into a beautiful dashboard. You know, the kind of dashboard that data analysts use in the real jobs. So we're just gonna look at how we can use tools like AWS Athena and QuickSight. But unfortunately, we won't be using QuickSight today because QuickSight is more of an enterprise application. So to get a free trial, you just have to be like a company and sign up and put your credit card. So I wasn't really able to get my hands on QuickSight for this demo, but I went for an alternative. So we'll be using instead today we'll be using the Locker Studio by Google for the demo. So we'll be using Locker Studio by Google. So it's kind of alternative to QuickSight. So we can see also how we can use that to visualize data. So let's talk a little bit about data. I mean, every single day data is being processed. Right now on this stream, data is also being processed. And just before we continue, make sure you check in. I'll just keep the registration link right there on the comment. Okay. And of course, I just shared the registration link. Make sure you check in. And back to discussing about data. The link I sent to you is a link we used to check in and collect data. So still on data. So 90% of the world's data was created in the last 2 years. Talking about every social media platform idea that we use, you know, the internet is a whole lot of data. You consume data every single day of your life. You know, even on the banks, you're processing data, collecting data, and it's the world basically moves around data. So we'll be looking at how we can actually how these data are being gotten, the raw data. So it's like when you fill out a form, you put in your name, your email, your phone numbers, and this data can be used, to be analyzed, have some insights, and make some decisions at the end of the day. So in today's stream, we just look at how we can do all that using a very simple demo data. The data we'll be using for this sample will be a very simple data that shows Netflix. It's just a data I created by myself, just a Netflix kind of data, like movies, titles, dates they were released, and durations and so forth. So we can look at how we can actually take this raw data from a CSV file, plug it into AWS Antenna, where we can actually run some queries. If we want to do some filtering, get specific data from the database, and then finally we can look at how we can actually visualize this data. So we get this raw data, just like when you fill a form. We use this data and save it in a database. I mean, when it's in a CSV file, it's already in the database. Like when you're using Excel sheets, Google Sheets, there's a database. But then it becomes difficult when you want to query this data. So AWS Athena is like a tool that will actually help us for querying this data. So we're going to store our data in the cloud. So we don't need to actually do anything outside the cloud. So we don't need to query our machine. We don't need to install SQL. So we can just log into the cloud and do all these things up there in the cloud. So store data in S3 bucket, query the data with Athena, and visualize it with QuickSight. But instead of QuickSight, today we'll be using uh, the Locker Studio by Google. So we're using Google Locker Studio. Is equivalent to QuickSight, and I think I explained exactly why I won't be using QuickSight today. So QuickSight is more of an enterprise application. So it requires a lot of protocols to get the free trial. Yeah? So it's more like it's an enterprise application. So you need to be a company. I need to commit for you to get a hold of it. So we'll be using an alternative platform like the Google Studio Locker, which is very easy and of course it's free. And if you have your Google account, you can just sign in, and make use of it. Okay, so let's actually see this in action. I'm just gonna go through the slides and then I'm gonna switch, and we can do this. We can, walk towards it step by step. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to make the data available. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to upload the data to our S3 bucket. So once we have this data uploaded to S3 bucket, we're going to run some SQL queries directly on the data in S3. So we don't need to, so Antenna, S3, I mean, they're all in the same services. So we upload to S3, we run queries from AWS Athena to S3, specifically the data we have uploaded to it. And that's why we just show this in example. And finally, we can now visualize the data with QuickSight. But instead of QuickSight, we'll be using Google Studio Locker. Okay, so let's actually get this. Let's get this in action right now. Okay, here we go. And of course, you need an AWS account in order to make use of the AWS services. So you can go ahead and sign up for AWS account. You can just go to Google and just type AWS free account. So I'll just drop this link on the comment section also. So you can sign up for the free trial account. And I think they should give you $200 in credits they can actually use to experiment the services and see how the services actually works. So that should actually get you up and started. So once you are here, you can just create a free account. It shouldn't take you like a few minutes and you should be up. So once you have your free account, you log into the console. You should see the same interface, just like what you have on the screen right now. So very similar. You have more like the services you have accessed recently, and you can actually customize your dashboard the way you want. So I'm just gonna give like few minutes, like a minute or two, in case people are trying to sign up for the AWS account. You can just look at the link on the comment section and sign up for free. But if you already have an account, then you can just stay with us. So let's just take a minute. If you already have an account, so let me take this few minutes to share the sheet that we'll be using. Give me 1 second. So this is a sample data that we'll be using for this demo. I'll just go ahead and share this with everybody so you can just download it. So now with the link, you can view and you can make a copy of it, and you can just make a copy of it to your own Google Sheet or download it on your local machine. So I just dropped the link to the Google Sheet on the comment section. So you can just click the link, make a copy of the data we'll be using for this session. Okay. So once you have that data on your local machine, so just a very simple data, we have the ID, the type, the title of the movies, the country, the release day, everything. You can add the so this is just a sample data of a typical Netflix real life data right there. Okay, so I believe if you are signing up for the free trial account, you should be done by now. So it just takes a few minutes. You just create an account, enter your email address, your number, and some few details, and you should be good to go. Okay, just 1 more minute. Okay, I've done that. Thank you. Okay, I'll just give 1 more minute and we can just continue. Okay, I think we can go ahead. But if there's anyone creating an account and needs some time to complete the account, you can just make sure you indicate on the comment section and we can just give you a few minutes. Okay, so I think no one. So once you are in the AWS console, so the service we want to make use of today is S3. And just to clarify a little bit what S3 is, S3 is more like a folder, a big folder where you can, store all your data in. So think about it like your Google Drive, where you can, put in letters, your OneDrive, where you can put in data. But the little difference is it's more than just a drive. It's more of a bucket that you can actually save unstructured data, and you can actually use this in real life, like in applications, like to query those data in real life. So just think about it like a big bucket that you can dump anything into, and you can make use of it. You can provide policies to it, people who can access it, from where they can access it, and other applications that can talk with it. So from the AWS console, you see the banner option at the top right. You can just go ahead and search for S3. So usually what I do is I pin most of the services that I always visit all the time in the taskbar right here. So I can always just click on it and get to it. But for the first time, if you just create an account, you should be able to just go to the search bar and search for S3. So you see S3 under services, you can just go ahead and click on S3 right there. Okay, so I already have some S3 buckets right here. But what you want to do is create a new bucket. Yeah, so someone made some comment on the session. So be careful to watch for any screens that say you are upgrading to a paid account. So if you're when you're signing up for AWS, yeah, it could be a little bit tricky. I think I've been in the situation where you sign up for AWS and you overuse the free trials, and they just end up taking that from your card. So we also look at after the demos, make sure you just delete whatever you have created, so that you keep the account clean, so they don't end up charging you for the services. So from the AWS S3 console, just click on create a bucket. So one thing about buckets, buckets are unique across all regions. So globally, like I can't use the same bucket name that you use. So for example, if I call this my buckets, I know someone somewhere in the world have used my bucket. This is definitely going to throw up an error, but let's confirm that. Yeah, of course. So I know someone somewhere else in this world have used my bucket as an AWS S3 bucket name. So bucket names have to be unique. So give it something unique, something that no one else have named. It's like a domain name. So treat it like a domain name, where it have to be unique. So I already have one, but I'm just gonna create one right now. So I just call this MAH Netflix. I'm not pretty sure someone have used that name. So you can leave all the default configurations. The only thing you need to unblock is the public access. So we want to unblock this because we want to make this data accessible to want to make it accessible to other services. And we don't want to specifically create policies to make that possible. So unblock this and acknowledge that you want to unblock the all public access. So at default, it will be blocked. So, but for this demo, go ahead and unblock it. But you can always block it if it's a very sensitive data and you don't want it to be accessed. You don't want to make it public to other services in your account. But for the purpose of this demo, you can just click on unblock to unblock the access to the data we just uploaded that we are going to upload initially. Apart from that, you can leave every other default settings. You can click on create bucket. Okay, so I think we have that created. So right here, you can see my bucket name, and you can see it's living on the US East 1 region. So if you wanted to create your bucket in a different region, like I say, so S3 buckets is kind of a purpose. So the region you create it is the region you can access it from. So basically what I mean is if you're creating it in US East 1, it will live in US East 1. So if you want to create your S3 bucket in a different region, and when we talk about regions, we're talking about physical regions of the world, So AWS have data centers all over the world. For example, in the US, they have in North Virginia, US East 1, US East 2, West 1, West 3, West 2. They also have in Asia, Canada, and Europe. So if you have your visitors from a specific, so for example, companies have more visitors, let's say from Europe, and they want to make a specific data more accessible to European citizens. So basically what they have to do is make sure they're hosting those data in Europe. Apart from that, there are also policies. I mean, I have been in discussion with customers, and they don't want to make use of the service if their data are not saved in a specific region. I think mostly Europeans, they have this, they want their data to be hosted in Europe because of some governing policies. So in that case, you can always specify the regions you want to host your data. So you can always click on the top right. That's the global region you're already in. So you can always switch to a different region. But there's some pros and cons to this also. So, for example, there are services that are available in, let's say, US East One that are not available, let's say, in Central Canada or maybe in London. So there's some AWS services that could be accessed in US East One, but can be accessed in other regions. So that's also a factor to consider when you are choosing a specific region to host your data or resources. No, so regions will not be affecting anything we are doing today. So you can specifically choose any region that you want to. Okay, so let's get this started. So once you have created an S3 bucket, you can click on the S3 bucket and you can upload files. You can also create a folder. So if you want to have like parent folders, you want to organize your files. But since we're just making use of just one file, so we don't really necessarily need a lot of creating of folder. So we can just go ahead and create an upload. Click on upload, sorry. And we can click on add a file. So you can drag and drop, you can drag and drop, or you can just click on open that and go and look for the file. So this is the file that I shared earlier. I just click on open and click on upload. Okay, so once we have that, so we have our Netflix demo clean CSV file. So it could be whatever you named it. You can rename it to wherever you want to rename it to. I think on the Google Sheet I shared earlier, it was a different name, but you can see how we can, what we are doing the queries, you just have to follow the name of the file you have uploaded. So once I have that uploaded, I can click on close. Okay, so I think that's actually the parts of S3 buckets, creating an S3 bucket and uploading uploading a file into it. So next step, we're going to look at Amazon Athena, or you can call it AWS Athena, what it does and what we can actually use it for. So the same way we access the S3 bucket, you can click on the search bar and search for Athena right here. Okay, so I was already running some queries before now. What I'm going to do is, for the first time you open it, you should see something similar to this. Give me 1 second. So I want to make sure I understand antenna pricing. So that is something I also recommend for every service you're trying to use. Make sure you look at the documentation, look at how it's priced. So even though AWS offers, okay, so basically what they do now is they give you $200 credit for you to experiment. So they basically don't offer free trials anymore like they do before. So they give you like $200 credit to use. So always look at the cost of the services you'll be running. So because you must put your card during the registration. So at the end of the day, if you go above the budget, they start debiting you. So you can always look at Amazon Athena pricing, look at how much the price per queries and stuff before you start actually making use of it. But for now, if you're using the free trial, you should have like a free credit that you can actually use for experimenting. So you should see a similar interface, just like what I have right here on my screen for the first time. So it gives you two options. So you can just query your data with Trino SQL. We can analyze data on S3 buckets or on premises or on other cloud. Yeah, it's also give you like a notebooks for people that use mainly Python. You should be familiar with notebooks and stuff. So, but for now, we just stick to the first option, and you can click on Launch Query Editor. So I already have an editor, and I've been running some queries before now here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to close all of these. Yeah, I can just clear that. But you should have a similar interface with no tables. I'm going to get rid of the table. Just copy and paste this right here and drop the table. Okay, so that should get rid of the table. So from your end, you should just have like a clean stake where you have there should be an option that comes up like a settings option, like a notification that shows up asking you to uh, you know, select a data source for the query. So you can do that, or you can just go to the settings from here, from the tab. You should be able to click on manage, and you should be able to choose the S3 bucket that you created, right? So you can click on browse, and you can search for that S3 bucket. So that should be like MH, Netflix, or whatever you called the S3 bucket. So you're able to select that. You just have to click on it and click on choose. Okay. So I'm just I already have this before. It's the same data that I have here and here. So I just stick with this. So I just call it global hardware data demo. So you can just click on choose. So this is you feeding the Amazon antenna a data source to query. So once you've done that, you can just click on save. That's all you need to do. So once you're done that, you can go back to the editor. Now let's actually talk about Athena. So basically what Athena does is uh, basically when you have unstructured data and no, data's in table, unstructured data, sorry, structured data, you can usually use SQL to run queries on your local machine to query these data. But we're trying to see how we can actually do all these things without downloading an application, installing an application, just running all these things from the cloud. So basically what Amazon Antenna does, it gives you an SQL editor on the cloud that you can actually load your data and you can run queries and you can save these queries and you can also download a CSV file of the queries results. So the idea is, so we have a data, kind of a Netflix data, and we want to see how we can actually, run some queries, maybe like do some filters, get a specific data. It's like when you go to the bank and you ask of your account details, you just provide the account number and the query it on the database. So that's basically what we're trying to do. So we're trying to query those data we already have on the S3 bucket using an SQL editor. So Amazon Antenna is just an SQL editor that helps you query data on the cloud. So that's a simple definition of what Amazon Antenna is all about. So let's see what we can do here. Give me 1 second. So the first thing we need to do is create a database. And I already have one created. So the command I'll be running could be different, but I'm going to explain what they actually means. So I have this command somewhere. Give me 1 second. Okay. So these are like SQL keywords or SQL command. Create database if not exist. For your case, if you're running for the first time, you can just emit the if not exist keyword here and just create a database, then the name of the database you want to create, right? So let me just show you exactly what I mean. So this is MH data. So if I'm doing create database, I'm just specifying the name of the database, and I can just click on run right here. So this runs the query and this created database. So if you go right here, you can see the list of databases. So you can, create database for different scenarios you want to write from data you already have. But then I'm trying to like create a database, but I'm not sure if this name is it or not. So if I want to create this database and the name already is it? So basically to throw an error message for me when if I try to run the command. So more like telling me that the name already is it. So like I can create the same database twice. Okay, so someone asked if I repeat the step where I created the upload data in S3. Yes. So from the console, you can just search for S3. You can just go to the search bar right here and type in S3. Click on S3. So you should see a create bucket option on your end. So just go ahead and click on create bucket. Give your bucket a name. So the name has to be unique. It has to be something someone else does not already name their bucket in the global whole world. So it has to be a unique name. So we want to make sure that the S3 bucket is accessible. So we don't want to block public access to it. Just give you an example when you can always use this. So if you want to share the data with people aside the AWS tenant, let's say you uploaded your CV, your resume to S3 bucket, you want to share it to the whole world, or is a static website that you want, of course, static websites, it's going to be accessible. So you can always unblock the public access. But if it's something that have to be like used internally within the AWS account, you can always block. And then from other resources, you have to like provide like what we call policies that can enable those resources to access the S3 bucket, basically. But even with unblocking, we still need to sometimes configure policies also on how the data can be accessed. So for the purpose of the demo, just go ahead and unblock. So uncheck this block or public access and acknowledge that you're actually the one, you know what you're doing, and just go ahead and create the buckets. Okay, so once you have the bucket created, you should see it somewhere here listed under your buckets. I called it image recovery. So once you're there, I mentioned you can create folders if you're trying to organize your files by folders. But for this purpose, you can just go ahead and click on upload and upload your data. So when you click on upload, you can drag and drop. You can add the folder or you can add files. So I shared the Excel sheet earlier on. I'm just gonna copy it and share one more time. Give me 1 second. No, it should be on the comment section. So if you just check the comment section, you should see the Excel sheet right there. Yeah, so you should be able to click that and copy the sample data that we'll be using. So click on add file, and you should be able to add that to this file. So add file, when you click on add file, you should be able to add the file that you want to add. For example, this is the file. I can now click on upload. That will take a few seconds, depending on how big the data is, and it will be uploaded. And you can click on close. Okay, so I think we got that covered again. So you can go back to, yep, at the Amazon Antenna, which is the SQL editor on the cloud. So again, the first command I'm running right here is I'm simply creating a database, and I'm giving the database name, this name. So basically, they don't have to, if it's existing already, just like I just demoed, it will throw an error message. So that is why I ran this command, create database if not exist. So I'm trying to ask it, if the database does not exist, go ahead and create it. But if it already exists, there's no need to recreate it. If I run the command, it will run successfully because the database already exists in, we have already created it before now. So it's just going to be right here. Okay, give me 1 second. Let me get the other data, other command that we're going to run right now. So we're going to create a schema next. And let me just copy this command. And I'm going to open a new query right here and paste that. And just explain a little bit of what we're doing right here. So we are creating a schema. I'm trying to open our database again so we can see what we have on the columns. So this is what we have on the CSV file. So we just have some IDs, type of movie, the title of the movies, countries the movies we are shoot on, and yep, I will go ahead and do that right now. So we're trying to create a schema to match or what we have on our CSV file. Uh, so basically So basically schemas are, columns and rows. That's basically what schemas are. So we definitely we're trying to mirror or duplicate what we have on the CSV file in our SQL database. So it's exactly, the ID, the type, the titles, and the rest of the columns and rows that we have. So that is simply what we're doing right here. Go back right here to the editor. We have the show ID, which is an initial, so initials represent numbers. And of course, I'm doing create external table if not exists. So if it does not exist already, go ahead and create it. But if it already exists, there's no need to recreate it, right? So for your case, you can just do create external table and just provide a name. If it's a unique name, you're just creating for the first time. But if you're like always, if you're recreating, then you can, specify if not exist. And then there's an open bracket, close bracket. Inside there, you can now define the schemas just like we have on the Excel sheet. So show ID type, and you now define the type of rows there. So for example, show ID is an integer, so it's always going to be an integer. If it's a string, it's always going to be a characters. You specify that. So for the type, title, countries, they're all like strings. For release year, I think SQL usually have a specific type for years, but we can just stick to our init, which is initials, which is like more of a digit numbers for this now, and then ratings and that they're all strings. Then we are specifying a row format that we want to use for our schema. and we're using like more like an open source format. I'm just gonna open this on a new tab. Let's see. Yeah. 1 second. It's just an open source CSV processing serialization library. It's just a library. It's an open source library, that gives you a specific format. So you can just browse that, and it should give you a description. Yeah, I think it's from Apache. Yeah, I think it's from Apache. And this is more of a documentation where you can read exactly what those other lines of codes are doing. So it basically creates the table in a specific format. So it's just a library. We're just calling in the library, whatever they have programmed in here. We just want to create a database in that format. I'm just gonna drop this on the comment section, just in case you want to read a little bit about, what that particular format does. Okay, so once we actually have that, we can go ahead and run this command. This should create a table for us. Let's see. Okay, so that ran successfully, and it created a table called Netflix demo right here. So if you look at the table, you can see the datas, just the same way we have specified the schemas right here. Okay, so we can actually run more commands. Let's see. So let's say we want to know the total titles that we have. We can simply run a select count from. So the select is where we want to select what we want to do. We want to count the stories. We are specifically saying, hey, we want to count every single thing. So count all the rows in the table, and then our destination, like from where do you want to count? We want to count from this specific database. If I run this, they should return a number. Yeah, so this should return 50. So this is basically counting all the whole characters that we have on the database itself, like all the whole sheet, the characters that we have. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. I'll just paste the commands as I run them. So for the schema, I think I've pasted that before. So I'm just going to paste the one for counting total titles that we have on the database. Let's say we want to get the titles by release year. So I have this command right here. Just gonna paste that. So we want to select from a database. We want to select release year, which is right here, and we want to count everything inside the release year as titles, and then of course, where we are coming from, so which is from, and then want to group it. We can group by release year, and then order by release year. So it's gonna go from ascending order. So 2023, 22, 21, just that way. Let's see. We'll run this command. Yeah, so we should see that. So 2020, it have 2 titles. 2021, we have movies with 3 titles and so forth. So I can just query exactly what we're looking for. Let me just copy this and also paste on the comment section. Okay, so let's say we're trying to sort by countries. So basically, queries is all about looking for data or sorting data. So we're trying to select the country row, which is this. We want to get everything inside the countries as titles. We want to group them by countries, and we want to sort it, you know, by title count, like the biggest first. So if USA have more movie titles, USA should come first. So that should be descending order. So I'm going to go ahead and run this command. Let's see what we have. Yeah. So USA comes first. Then we have the India, we have US, UK, France, Canada, and Germany. So it just lists from the top and the title, the movies that have. So we have like three movies that we are actually produced in the US and so forth. We'll paste this also in the comment section. Sorry. Okay. So let's see other commands we can run. So let's see if this command actually runs or if it gives me an error message right here. Okay, that actually runs. So we're trying to get the journey of the movies, and we want to split them. So like science fic, actions, whatever genres we have in the database. And so basically what we're doing here is number one, we are splitting the data. We are splitting the data and we turn that list into separate rows, which is basically what we're doing. That's why we have these results right here. So we turn that into separate rows, and then we remove extra spaces that we have on the list, and then finally we just count how many each times the gens appear in the movie titles. So you have like science fic twice, action movies twice, documentaries twice. So we're using titles to compare it. Oh, I see. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do right now. I I'm going to get all these commands, put it in a sheet, and share it. So let me see if I can download this. I can save all the queries. Basically, you can give it a name, but that will take us a lot of time. So instead, I'm going to create a sheet and I'm going to share all of that. So I will just share the commands. Later on, I'll just put descriptions of the commands. But for now, I just go ahead and share the command. Okay. Yeah. So I think these are the commands we've run so far. Uh, just gonna Okay, so copy that and I'll paste down the comment section. Okay, so you should have access to all the help commands right there. Yeah. So I mean, you can run much commands. You can just Google a little bit about SQL fundamentals and see like the commands you can actually run with it. You're welcome. Yeah. But yeah, we actually basically what we're showing is how we can actually run some basic SQL queries. You know, running queries on our already existing data that we have, like a CS file we upload to S3 bucket, and we can run some queries, to get a specific infos, do some sorting, do some, filtering to this data. And then the amazing thing is we can specifically download, you know, a data out of the data that we already uploaded. So we have this bunch of data, and let's say you want to get the name. Let's say it's a school, for example, and you just want to get the name of every student that are in a specific department. Let's say computer science. So you can actually like, okay, select. You're selecting from department. Where it equals computer science. So it returns the data, and you can just simply download that data. So the whole idea is we use, the Amazon antenna for simply querying the data and making use of the data however we want to use it. So we can just run the query, download the CSV file, and we can just plug that anywhere we want to use. So let's say your company in every world you're using S3 bucket, and then you are asked to get the name of all the whole customers that sign up within 2022 to 2024. You just have to create a new antenna query editor, plug in the S3 bucket where the data is loaded, and just run some, create a schema against it, and of course just run the data, run the queries, and download the data. So you can just download the data as a CSV file again, and you can present that as a result of as a result needed, basically. Yeah. Okay. So let's look at we have the data. We downloaded a copy of the queries we want. So how can we actually present this data? So let's look at presentation now. Before I forget, you can always save these queries. So I can save as and give it a unique name. So automatically it saves when you run a query, it gets saved right here. But you can always, I think it's temporary actually, but you can always save as and specifically give it a name. So basically maybe this is a query that you run once in a time, or you just have to change the specific thing all the time. So you can always save that as a template right here. Just click on the three dots, click on save as, give it a name, and you can just save that. Okay. So anytime you want to run a similar query, you can just open that specific query and make some changes if needed, or just run the same query again. And of course, you can click on clear to clear the query editor. So that's it with Amazon Antenna. That's basically what it helps us to do. So it helps us to run queries against our database, and we can use it as much as we want. Download the results, and whatever we need to do. So now let's look at how we can actually present this data, especially when you're working in a company and uh, you are going to work with executives, directors, people who don't really, like they don't understand technical jargons, but that's not what they are in the in the conference room for. So they're basically there to hear about data, analyze visualize data already, not for you to be giving them the raw data. So once we have gotten the data itself, so the next step is how can we visualize data. So I think this is where visualization tools comes in. So Amazon, like I said earlier, have a tool called. I'm just going to try to open that tool right here. So they have a tool called Quick Insight. Yeah, they have a tool called Quick Insight. Fast, easy to use business analytic tool. The only problem we're having is we can't use it today because you need to sign up. It's an enterprise application, so you can just sign up. You can just sign up. So if you try to, it's going to give you an error message. Let me just try that right here. So automatically, if you're logged into your console, you should see the your AWS account number right there. You can click on sign up for Quick Insight. So it's more, like I say, it's an enterprise application. So you need to sign up differently for it again. So it asks you to enter your email address, which I will. And I think I already have an AWS IAM Identity Center. But if you don't, you can just leave to IAM Federated Identities. Choose a region, give it a name. You can select the IAM roles. You can select the existing ones. You can just use it, leave it at default. That should create an IAM role that gives the sign-in user all the full access to access Quick Insights. But I'm going to try something right now. So I don't see any rules here. I'm going to try create a rule and assign it. Let me see if that will make a difference. I doubt, but let's see. I'm just going to search for. Okay, let me see what we have. Let me create a new rule. I doubt that's going to make a difference, but let's see. Creating, allowing me to create a new role already and giving it access to the resources I want. I mean, that should actually do the magic for us. And we can directly do that from here. Select the S3 bucket we want. I should be able to see all my S3 buckets. I should be able to give it read write permissions to antenna. I will uncheck this. Yeah. So I think I've tried this over and over again. It was just not working. Yeah. So it just gives me this error message and asks me to contact support. Yeah. Again, it's an enterprise application, and I believe the reason is so most of the resources I run on this particular AWS account is using free credits. So like using free credit from AWS. So they don't really see the account as a not really an enterprise account, but they don't really see like a real billing from the account. So they're not really making money from the account. So basically that's the reason they are not allowing me to sign up for QuickSight. Yeah. But if you have resources in AWS that you are paying for using your debit card, not just AWS credit, then I think this should work. But if it's not, I will later on, I'll just reach out to support to know exactly why it's not working for me. Yeah. But then we can use alternatives, which is basically what we're going to use for this session. So we can use alternatives. We have a tool. This tool is very popular. The Tabula, very popular. A lot of people know about Tabula. It's a very robust tool. You can also use that to visualize data. But I was playing with it, but it's kind of robust and a little bit. The learning, it's gonna take a lot of time to learn how to use it and how it works. So I tried Microsoft BI, which is also cool. I think a little bit the learning curve is a little bit slow, like not too complicated to Tabla. But then I came across Locker Studio, Google Locker Studio, and I actually find it very easy to use. I think Google has always been building tools that are very easy for you to just plug in and use. I mean, before you can use Microsoft, before you have to download it, but then you have Google Docs, which is like very easy. You plug and unplug. So I played along with this, and it was actually very very easy to use. I can actually build a robust dashboard that you can actually use for presentation using your existing data. Like I said, so from Antenna, you can download specific data that you want to make use of, after you run some queries. And then you can actually use those data to build whatever you want to build. So this interface gave me something similar to Quick Insight, because if we are if we are to use Quick Insights, we definitely are not going to. We don't have to download the data. We can just plug the data because it's already existing in in the AWS community, right? So we can just plug it directly and make use of it. So we also have the same similar ecosystem with Google here. So for the Google Locker Studio, the same thing, the same ecosystem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new report. So they call it report here. I'm going to create a new report. So it's, like I said, just the same kind of uh, interface, not interface, but the same kind of connections that QuickSight also have. So it gives you access to existing connectors from Google, where you can connect existing databases. So you can connect your Microsoft Excel from Google. Of course, like they have to like be maybe in Google Drive. You can just connect them. So you can just connect them or already existing data. So they have a lot of data sources they can connect from, which I find very very impressive. So you can connect a lot of data from different sources. Okay. So for our use case, we can just stick to Google Sheets. So the data I shared earlier that was in Google Sheets. So you can just, if you already created it, you made a copy of it. So you can just go to, I'm just going to drop this on the chart, localstudio.google.com. It will ask you to sign up. Just use your existing account, your Google account, to sign in. I think it will just ask you a few questions, very, very simple questions like I think company name or something similar. Yeah, because I mean it's assuming for you to visualize data, you're like more of a company, you're trying to share the data with the audience. You can just put in your name, and I think just two fields to fill, and you should be able to have access to it. So once you create on a new report, it will ask you to select connect to a data. If you already have data source, uh, I think it looks at some data source you also have on your drive and try to show it to you under my data source. Yeah, what population, Google analysis. So if you have some existing Google data, it also pull up here. We can connect to additional data. So you can select the Google Sheets option, and I call that sheet Excel Netflix. Sorry. Yeah, so you can select that. It could slow down your browser for a while. Yeah, because I think it's kind of very a little bit laggy. I noticed. Yeah, but it works fine. Once just give it a few seconds. It works fine. So you can leave the default options and click on Add. Let me try this. So I'm going to try if I can select more than one. No, I can't. Okay. So it had to be one data source per report. Okay, so I can just click on add report. Okay, so you have the freeform layout. You can choose for responsive layout, just in case you're going to view this in a smaller screens later on. I always go with responsive stuffs. Okay, so on the left, you can see your data sources, just like we have from Athena 2. So all those rows and columns right here. So you have the country, duration, and the rest of them. So I see you can change the name, give your report a name. So they have all these options so you can play with, like creating different pages, inciting maybe other pie chart, table, a whole lot of options that you can actually play with. But let's see how we can actually build a simple report dashboard. So I just call this Netflix report dashboard as a title. I don't want a specific range, so I'll just leave this. I'll just leave it at auto range. So I want to grab everything in the database. So I can add a chart just by clicking add chart here, and I can select the chart I want. So let's start by creating maybe like a donor chart of countries that we have in our database. So you can see which countries have more movies produced than the other countries. So I can just click on that. So automatically it tries to use the closest data that it can get from your data source. So for now, it's trying to use the record count to differentiate between the number of movies we have and TV shows. Now, if I try to look at the data we already have, let me see. So it's used the type option to differentiate the movies, how many movies that we have and how many TV shows that we have. Where are you? Right here. So automatically it will just look for the nearest data that corresponds with the chart you selected, but you can always change that to build exactly what you want to build. So for example, I think this is we may need this, so I can just leave this. You can drag and drop. I was not looking forward to expanding that. Let me see. Yep, so here we go. I can drag and drop that wherever I want it to be. I can change the titles, so I can click on. So basically, when you click on it, you have these chat properties open. So you can make some changes, like the titles. Let's call this. Let's just call it type. You can change the fonts, colors, and whatever you want to do, which is cool. You can bold that. They put blue. Yeah, I think it gives you the option to expand and also maximize it, which is impressive. And so let's we have this. We can add another one. So let's see. I think other options we have here is you can actually drag the data itself. So I can drag country from here to the page, and automatically it will give it just list the countries and alphabetically list the countries just like this. They can go ahead and change the chart type. You can set it, so it just lists as a table, but you can change that to whatever you want to change it to. Uh, I think I can still go with the pie chart right here. So this gives us percentage of the countries that we have. Yes, so the stream is always on the Switch channel. You can also find it on YouTube, so you can rewatch whenever you want to rewatch. So that was me answering a question from the comment section. So you can change the type. So when you drag a specific data source to the screen, you can change however you want it. So you have the options from here. That should be style. You can change the padding, the borders. So whatever you want to do, you can literally build a dashboard here. So let me change the title. So you have countries and yeah, I mean, you can decide to change the font, do whatever you want to do. So I think I would like to know how many minutes. So the whole database I want to know like how many minutes of the durations. So the total duration of the movies that we have. So I think you can actually do that. I can drag duration out here. Of course, you can just have a picture of how you want your dashboard to be, and you can just build exactly that. You can use the text options, the image options. There's a lot of shapes here: rectangle, circle. You can change the theme. You can change the theme, however you want the theme to be. Maybe dark mode, age, whatever you want to do. You can literally change the layout, customization, and all that. So I think I love this too. I just stick to the defaults, but it's an impressive tool to use to visualize data. So let's change this type. I want to use something that shows me the total minutes of the durations of the whole movies that we have. So each of the movies have durations, 90 minutes, 100 minutes, and so forth. I think so. Let's look at our data again. Yeah, it does. But then the problem is some of the data are actually not correct. So, for example, duration, this is giving us 3 seconds. This is giving us, sorry, 3 seasons, 2 seasons. So the calculation may not really be accurate. But I think for this to be accurate, it just have to be just the numbers. Yeah, just the numbers. It doesn't have to be a string. It has to be an integer throughout. And I think that should give us a accurate data. But I'm pretty sure it's not going to give us an accurate data, but let's see what we have. So I'll try to change the type to a scoreboard. Yeah, so when I change that, it changed the data source to the record count instead of the duration. But I can always change that from down here. Yeah. So under primary fields, you can change the field that you want to plug in. So I'm looking at dimension. Let me see. Type movie metric. Yeah. So this is actually not being accurate. And I think the reason it's not being accurate is because we don't have an accurate data already. Giving me duration as 9. I don't think that's exactly what we're looking for. Well, it's understandable because of the data we have. So the data is actually not accurate. So we have like numbers and strings. So it's basically not going to filter those strings to get the data. But I think if in our query, no, the data itself was not accurate. So we don't have like more of an accurate data here. If you look at the data, we don't actually have an accurate data. So the duration should just be the minutes. And we know it's just minutes. We don't have to put the keywords here. So I think that's actually where we're having that error message. So it's basically not going to give us an accurate data here. But I think we get a bigger picture of how we can actually visualize data. Uh, so I try to use the country map. So I'm going to change this. I'm trying to change this country to be a map. It was not working initially. It's still not working, and I think another reason it's not working. So for me to actually use like a map, is for some reasons, so the Google Local Studio is not really intelligent to actually just map the countries in the map. I don't know why it was not able to do that. But then I tried that with Trebula, and it actually did that perfectly fine. Let me show you. So I have a sheet here. Let me see. Meanwhile, is similar to uh, not similar. It has its own features and interfaces. A little bit uh, robust. The learning curve also, and you need to spend like a lot of hours to understand how this works for the first time. But yeah, just it's all about putting in data, visualizing data. So I'm going to this is the data source. I'm just going to replace this with another data. So this data right here. Okay, let me see. I'm going to refresh the entire page and create a new worksheet. Yeah, but I actually love that feature. If you're building a dashboard, I think that's a feature you definitely would like to have. So it just puts a map and the existing countries in the map, so you can basically just show the countries from the map. Yeah, I think I just love that instead of just a simple chart like we have here. Definitely this is what is expected. When you use the Google Map. It should just map out the countries, but then it's giving me an error message: chat configuration incomplete. I don't know why it's giving me that error message, because of the location. But then I'm like, use country, but then it's really not actually mapping it accordingly. So I have no idea why it's not. I think it should. Yeah, but for some reason it's not. But let's see. So when I tried it with this Tabula 2, I'm just going to use the web version. Though the desktop version is more rich, but I think I'll stick with this. So I'll plug in our CSV file. Okay, I think that works now. So I think we have our data. So I'm just going to update automatically. So that should give us all the data we have in a tabular form right there. And I'm just going to click on data source. Let me see. No, I think that should be on a new sheet. So I think Tableau is a little bit robust. I have not really gotten my hands on it. But from what I can see, so you can usually do the same thing we are doing, drag and drop. So I can usually drag country and drop it anywhere on the dash. Automatically, it just maps the country from the data using the word map, which I think is impressive. You can literally see all the data that we have. Like we have Germany there, we have France, we have UK, and I yeah, a little bit tiny, but yeah. I see we have India, we have United States right here. I think there's actually you can actually change the view somewhere from show me. So they have the map, they have the field map. Yeah, that works at the field map. So you can literally use. I think that's the two options they have. So field map and map. Again, so data visualization tools are a little bit laggy, but I think the desktop versions always work seamlessly. So if you're looking to build you know a robust dashboard, I always recommend you go with the desktop versions of any of the tools. But yeah, pretty much Google does not have a desktop version of anything. So you can look at Trabula, you can look at Power BI. I think Power BI is very robust also. Yeah, but yeah, I was just trying to show how you can literally use this same feature right here. It should be here. It should be here. I mean, it's definitely the Google Map option here, which I think will look more cool because it's Google, and their map is always more accurate compared to the other maps where I have used Adia. Just haven't figured out exactly why it's not coming up. Again, it could be from our data, so they're definitely expecting a specific data, not just list of countries. But again, I think that should work. I just don't know why it's not working. I mean, it's literally working here. They're just simply using the country names and mapping it accordingly to the world map, which is cool. Uh, but then I realized that I can't really, I haven't really figured out how you can actually build a dashboard using uh, this tool, Tabula. It's a little bit complicated. I was expecting I should be able to add, like columns here and drag and drop these stuffs in there, but for some reasons it's not working the way I thought it will. But let's see. So I have country, I have duration here. Oh, okay, I see. So what it does, it maps the data you placed here in the countries as well. Okay, not bad. But let's see what again we can do. So let's first use a Python. Yeah, it takes some time to reflect. Yeah, I don't know why that is not working. Again, I mean, they're a little bit robust. The desktop versions are always better. Yeah. So again, I try to play with it. It's I don't know, a little bit complicated. So, but I found this particular tool, the local studio, very easy to use. So you can literally just plug in your data and configure it the way you want it to be configured. Let's see, we use a line. And this is also similar to the Amazon Quick Insight. Like similar, you just plug in data and you can just drag and drop and customize whatever you want. So it was actually a little bit it was light and easy, just like Google Local Studio. So I think I can relate to these two, and I think you can actually build. You can build. You can build your dashboard here. Plug in, put in different layouts, and build it exactly the way you want it to be. You can add filters also, and do a lot of things you can actually want to do here. So I think we pretty much covered everything we have for this session. So from taking our data roughly, I mean, you can always get data from different sources from a form. And speaking of forms, so you can actually use like I mean, Google Sheet has a form, so but probably grab the form from Google Sheet. You want to analyze it, plug it into a specific, maybe plug it into S3 bucket. From there, antenna, and from antenna, you can plug it back, analyze it in a local studio. I can share that with the team. So, so we're all talking about data. How we can definitely take data from one source, make use of it, plug it in from a different source, visualize it, and share the output with the rest of the world. So, let me know if anybody has questions, if anybody run into any issues uh, doing the demo. Happy to answer any questions we may have. You're welcome. And of course, don't forget to drop it feedback. Just drop the link on the comment section. So just go ahead and let us know what we can do better and how we can improve the sessions. So if you have questions, you can ask. I'll be dropping the links again for the data sheet that we used earlier. And also I'll drop in the link for the queries that we run. So I just dropped the link of the Google Doc on the comment section. Also, while doing that, don't forget to leave a feedback on the feedback link. And I'll also go ahead and drop the queries that we ran today on the comment section, a link to it. Okay, right there. So you can see that on the comment section as well. So you can experiment with the data, with the queries. And of course, if you have questions, go ahead and drop them. Okay, let me see. So they create external table if not is it. Oh, I see. I'll just go ahead and get rid of one of that. And let me make sure I shared all the whole queries we used today. Let me let me check that one more time. So the first command was to create the table. I think we have that. Was create the database name. Second one was to create the schemas. Ah, okay. I think I see exactly what you mean. Okay, let me fix that. So from here, we don't need this. So this is for creating tables, creating the database table. This is for creating the schema. We have another query. So we go to the schema and we count. So this was for counting. This was for counting the total number of characters. Sorry, titles, not titles initially. The total number of every single data we have inside the data base. So I'm gonna drop that right here. Then we checked for the years, and the titles. How many titles of the movies were released in each year? Then we check for countries with the highest titles. And then finally, we do some queries to get the genres and the titles of it. Okay, so I think I fixed that. You're welcome. Okay, guys, don't forget to drop your feedbacks using the feedback link. I'm just going to share that one more time. Okay, so if not any other questions, so we can call it a day. And of course, if you have future questions, you can always drop it in the Discord channel and I'll be happy to answer. Okay, guys, thank you and have a great day. Bye bye.